So Theo just showed us using heat maps to look at API latency, database latency, time to first byte TCP latency, and you're going to make me do that again? Did I plug you into the wrong slot? Okay. Should be fine. I will show you the same heat maps, but for disk I/O, although I can't do a live demo like Theo because my stuff is not demoable right now. But it's really important to see that what Theo just showed you is real. We can do this. We can do heat maps to show the full latency breakdowns. And the topic was disks, so why would you care about disks? Would we expect to see Theo's unusual bimodal latency with outliers for disks? This is an example heat map for disks. And on the left, this is latency from 0 to 10 milliseconds. That's cache hits. That's on-disk cache hits, and that's misses. Actually, no, I think it's in-memory cache hits. That's right, because it's the entire box. And then disk. This is disk I/O access, random. So it's 3 to 10 milliseconds. This is turning on an SSD drive, a second level of cache. I developed the ZFS L2ARC while at Sun, and that allows much more of your working set to be cached, and it's driven the latency down. That picture is what you'd probably expect for any disk I/O latency analysis. Something pretty random, like I'm going to have if this was measured at the disk level, I'd expect to have disk misses and disk hits. It's going to be bimodal, I know that. It's not going to be hugely interesting, the end. But as it turns out, and if you believe you have this, then you can make rationalizations about, well, I can survive with the mean and standard deviation because I know I can guess what it's going to be. I don't need to see it. I did this article a few years ago in ACMQ where I showed heat maps of real disk workloads, and often they were pretty insane. This is a heat map, 0 to 10 milliseconds of synchronous writes to disks. And you actually have lots of different modes.
You figure out where all the dark matter is.
You figure out where all the dark matter is, that's right.
How many disks were in that?
I wrote this article so long ago, I think 22 7200 RPM disks, ZFS striped pooled, and that's actually the latency, insane.
So when I look at those lines, I'm thinking that's kind of why.
And here's another one. This one is this one is disk I/O latency.
ZFS is metal.
This is disk I/O latency, 0 to 8 milliseconds, as I'm ramping up a workload to disks. And from 1 to 4 disks, we have distinct bimodal latency. Then you have the head of the pterodactyl, and the neck, and the wing, and we see things like this often enough that once you start using heat maps, you can't live without them because you don't know what unusual things can be lurking, and it's often very important to see the full distribution of data. So next time you're working on a disk issue, you don't know actually what it could be. So it's an important part of disk I/O analysis these days is I go and use the IOstats just for the high level, VFS stat metrics if it's available so I can compare tracing event-wise so that I can see what's happening down the disks. And then when I have a lot of data I need to get my head around, doing visualizations like heat maps. As Theo showed, these heat maps aren't an academic thing. You can build a product and deliver it. It's a real product, isn't it, Theo? It's not like I didn't dream it, because it's awesome. It's awesome that it works. It's real, absolutely real. Okay, so I wanted to just do a brief talk about disk I/O stuff. So, any questions on disk I/O stuff before I move to the next topic?
That's good.
Okay. Now I want to talk about metrics, and we will get to the point where we will, I guess we'll break it around 12:30 for lunch. So metrics Audiences, it's important to be aware of who the audience is for the metrics we're designing, because people have different requirements. And this goes back to the original AIM slide, which had, am I looking at metrics because of SLAs, or am I looking at because of alerting or capacity plan? These aims correspond to different roles, and these roles have different needs. And for that reason, when you're designing metrics, it's just important to bear in mind who the different audiences will be, and do you satisfy all of those needs? So then, for example, host system administrators may care about the resources of an entire system. Guest system administrators care about their virtual resources and those utilizations is their primary statistics. Application developers looking at latency, and so on. The questions that we care about, which we will build metrics from, we've already discussed various examples today, like understanding my disk bottleneck, understanding high latency, and these questions are there to satisfy the aim. So we're not gathering metrics just for the act of gathering metrics. Ultimately, this is to answer questions.